Hey guys, welcome back to World of Warships. Today we're taking a look at the ship with the highest fires per minute in the entire game. Higher than Jacksonville, higher than Colbert, higher than Worcester. This ship lights the most consistent fires. The reason I was doing this is the dockyard missions. There's currently a mission available where you need 15 fires in a single random battle, something like that. And instead of lighting fires and completing that mission, I got myself into brawls with the Torps. We're gonna have a great time today. This ship is absolutely ridiculous. If you've ever been thinking of getting the Colbert, you think that ship looks fun, maybe you think you can play it like John the Ruthless does, Jinan would be a good one to go for instead. Similar fires per minute, a little better here, a little worse DPM, but the shell velocity is very similar. Colbert just doesn't get this. These torpedoes are insane. Alongside having a smoke, Jinan is just a lot easier to play. Colbert is just more extreme on its DPM, but Jinan, oh, Jinan is so much fun. We're gonna have a good time today. Deep water torps, torpedo reload booster, absolutely wonderful. On top of just having really, really good guns. This ship has seen a ridiculous number of buffs since it was released. They happened a while ago at this point. Jinan seems to be pretty comfy in its spot at the moment. So having the ability to smoke up on maps where you don't get good island cover, much easier to play than something like a Colbert. And if people decide to YOLO around corners on you, you do have those torpedoes. We've talked about that a little bit recently when playing cruisers and having high DPM ships around islands at close range. Jinan is excellent. I still would recommend you get Colbert if you do enjoy Jinan's DPM and its main guns, but Jinan being free tech tree rather than steel, which is very expensive, makes it a good option to go for if you're looking for light cruiser lines, trying to learn how to play them. The tier 9 is also pretty good these days too, and having a smoke screen is so important to light cruiser play and learning how to play these things. Most of the time, it is very difficult to play a cruiser in this game. I know, not a very hot take, but it's true. Not having heals at low tiers or even mid tiers on a lot of cruiser lines is painful. You get that at tier 8 here, I believe, so very nice to have that little bit of extra support. The tier 10 here having more armor, allowing us to eat that Vermont salvo. That wasn't just luck on getting overpens only or something like that with that Vermont at such close range to us. There's a 32 mil armor plating on Jinan, its upper belt. So assuming a battleship doesn't overmatch that, that's all those 457s, only get through 30, not 32, it allows me to tank some salvos at closer ranges. We just don't want to go too broadside that auto bounce angle doesn't kick in. And of course, if we perfectly angle, like bow in or stern in, well then the overmatch will certainly get through. We need to let them hit that armor plating. Here, still take a lot of damage, but we live. Other light cruisers might have just eaten overmatch citadels there, just like a Minotaur might have. Minotaur gets super heals. It is a different situation, but look at the amount of torps we can dump out with this torpedo reload booster. And then I just go and miss pretty much everything. That'll be a bit of a theme here. Unless it's point blank range, I'm terrible with these torpedoes. It feels pretty bad, but at least the main guns are absolutely excellent. I'm always trying to find positions where the enemy team is pushing into me with light cruisers in particular. The shell velocity is just not good at longer. Oh, look at the fire. It's a triple fire instantly on this poor guy. Yeah, the fire chance is kind of insane. But I'm trying to find positions where the enemy team is pushing into me. Makes it so much easier, and with the power of smoke screens, I'm able to set up positions like this one where it otherwise might be a little bit tricky to play an open gap like this. Certainly there's some maps where we just have open water. Fortunately, they're starting to look at some of those, like Okinawa, Mountain Range, these kinds of things, but that's not in quite yet. And having a smoke screen is so important. Played Burrows the other day, and in the live match there, I think we had a Des Moines on our flank who wasn't really able to accomplish much. On Ocean, of course, and having a smoke screen is just so nice for that, allowing you to actually play some of these very awkward maps that cruisers do struggle on. Couple fires into Iowa, and then we're gonna swap over to that armor piercing. And I gotta say, the armor piercing was a little disappointing for me, as we'll get into here in a little bit. but it felt like it just didn't have the best pen, or maybe the pen angles. Maybe there's some hidden values there, but considering the HE is so good at lighting fires, and with such high DPM, we're oftentimes able to just pinpoint superstructures and get a ton of alpha damage that way, allowing us to take out that Iowa. We've lost a lot of ships in this one, and we're going to have to do a lot of work to try and make up for that. But Republic trying to rush us, potentially. We got torpedoes for them. And notice here, we also have our Torp reload booster ready to go. Otherwise, I might be a little more wary of actually launching those Torps initially. Our smoke fire here at 5.7 is fine. You know, for destroyer caliber guns, it feels a little large. But the DPM on offer here makes sense a little bit. So I wanted to use island cover to get in behind that island so Repub didn't have an angle on me. Some random Torps launched, landed on the Monarch, and now we have to deal with this Jinan here. It's going to be tricky with the carrier on us, so we're going to try and avoid that. But Jinan might be broadside enough that we can land some Citadels. No, actually, it is going to just be shatters, unfortunately. Probably should swap to the HE now that he's angled. You'll have to forgive me for trying to figure out how to dodge all these torpedoes and the planes coming through. Does he go for the ram? I'm trying to avoid it. And last minute, he avoids it too. If you're watching this, Mr. Jinan player, massive respect. He's actually going to be the one who's carrying his team. So Jinan on Jinan, the two players trying to carry things out. I'm trying to break his turrets. And then if he goes broadside enough for torpedoes or his front guns, I'm hoping I can Citadel him. And no, it is still bounces, even at these angles. I thought I could get through it. Unfortunately not. But we're both going to survive this situation. Absolutely ridiculous. Tier 10, I always call it so passive, and yet here I am, brawling it out against another light cruiser. It's so fun, man. Having these torpedoes, having this high DPM, it's just a really, really fun experience. Unfortunately, we are going to go down, and unfortunately, we are going to lose this one. But a very close game, over 300,000 damage, and Jinan on Jinan violence here. And really well played to that other Jinan for massively carrying his team. Onwards to another very aggressive position early on here, early-ish on, getting into the cap. I do like to play this ship around islands, but very close to the enemy as much as I can, because the shell velocity is still rather poor here. AEP into a broadside Worcester. We don't get through his armor plating with the HE, so if they're broadside, yeah, the AP is still worth going for. Not for Citadels, but for those upper belt pens. Unlike some of the light cruisers that have 150, 152 millimeter guns where they pen 30, that's where it's much easier to get through some of these cruiser fights with high explosive and then not take IFHE because you just pen superstructures on battleships. It can be a little awkward with these DD caliber guns where you only pen the superstructures of cruisers, which are rather small. We run into a Kitakaze, and now a bit of a downside of Jinan. No hydro. Yeah, not having a hydro is quite unfortunate when you're a smoke cruiser. A lot of people love to torp smokes when there's a smoked up cruiser. I'm certainly one of them, but you got to be aware of that. The other side being, well, Kitakaze can smoke up in front of us. We'll blind fire him though, because our DPM is just that insane. Fortunately, this Prince did not push while I was broadside onto him. That's what I was worried about there. And we'll use our smoke as a getaway instead of using it to farm out of. The smoke actually lasts a really, really long time. This isn't like a Minotaur where you get a few puffs on the smoke, unless you're running the legendary mod, and it's hard to even slow down into it sometimes, given how Minotaur doesn't break very well. This one lasts long enough that we're able to get out and behind this island. At this point, we are left alone on this flank. Bit of a 1v3 here, and this is where we need to use island cover again. We need to isolate 1v1 fights. I just have to hope my team wins that other flank. We've been absolutely crushed over here. Worcester goes broadside. I'm going to try to swap to the AP again. Still getting shatters. And there's the Citadels. Finally, when he's flat broadside at extremely close ranges. The Prince shouldn't have an angle on us here. And I don't know where the sub is. So that's a bit awkward. Fortunately, we dealt with the Worcester before anything happened. But really worried about taking a 2v1 or a 3v1, right? We need to isolate those engagements. Now, though, that the Prince has been spotted by our destroyer, we can think about popping out and farming him down. It's all about picking your battles when it comes to light cruisers, and it's really, really fun when you get that concept down because you have such consistent DPM. Your damage is not reliant on a battleship RNG salvo. You get one salvo every 40 seconds in a Vermont, say. And what happens if at close range you just get trolled by RNG? That hurts, man. Whereas with cruisers, if you pick the right spots to get into, pick the right engagements, your DPM is very consistent, allowing you to have very consistent battle impact. It's just hard to pick those right situations to get into. That is the big challenge with cruisers, because you do just lack HP, you lack armor, and typically you can't just explode to one of those single battleship salvos. It's by no means easy, but very, very rewarding. We're going to dump out like 30 Torps or something into this Preußen. It's not going to hit any. And I fat figured my smoke while using my torpedo relay booster. I'm not very good at this game sometimes. Sure would have been nice to have that smoke now that we're going to get caught between Preußen and then a couple of the enemy ships in the B cap. Bit of a crossfire. Would be nice to get away from a situation like this with a smoke screen. Unfortunately, we don't have that right now, but still a decent last stand here with Jinan. And you'll notice throughout this video, we lost quite a few of our games, but we got into some very interesting scenarios and managed to farm a ton of damage. If you're wondering ever why it's maybe you're frustrated by, oh, I did so much damage, but we lost. Well, that's pretty typical, actually, from my experience. If your team's not pulling their weight, there's just more room for you to farm up way more damage and battle impact. That's just how it goes. Typically, the best damage games do come on losses, or just a ridiculous carry that I wasn't quite able to accomplish in these games. But still, an absolute blast here in Jinan. And while it's not easy to play like cruisers, I think Jinan has a lot of tools that allow you to play in way more situations than many other cruisers, thanks to the Torps for YOLOs, smokes for open water, and just general high DPM from this ship, farming down anything that gets into your range very quickly. And now I've got a great flank here to show off a bit more open water. We played very island cover heavy in the video so far. I saw that the planes originated from up here. We got ourselves a Shinano. Double Sabir in this one could be pushing, could be excellent for us. A few DDs as well, but spawning south here on this map at A can sometimes be a bit awkward for a light cruiser. You almost feel like you have to go to this island or this island, maybe over to here even. It's a little tricky to play. From the north, sometimes you can play this island, although that's very, very committed. But we have a smokescreen, allowing us to set up almost anywhere, assuming there's no long-range radars. That Stalin was the one that I was going to be worried about, but he's not coming here. So we just have the Worcester to worry about as far as radars go. 9 kilometers, not too bad, and that should allow me to get a very, very aggressive position here, not just to try and torp some of these guys out. Sabir, you're not pushing? That's what the ship does. Oh, that's too bad. But we also can support our DDs from these closer ranges as well. I'm actually going to hang on to these Torps for a second. I don't want to just waste them instantly. Deep waters, I don't know if I mentioned that yet, but only hit cruiser battleship carrier. So no DDs. Not really worth going after. It's not really worth sending them through the cap, honestly. It'll just get them spotted. So I'd rather try and find... Yeah, okay. We are lit. Sure. Do I want to smoke? Sometimes I don't want to smoke, you know? Ah, an Elbing. Sure. That is scary for us, of course. Why isn't the Sabir pushing? Oh, I thought this was going to be so good, guys. All right. So this will be a bit of a challenge here, but patience is required, as always. As always, you need a lot of patience to play this game. And perhaps I've pushed too aggressively already. But I want to push some more. I want to push some more. We can turn in. We got the smoke screen here. And no, I shouldn't. There's something else in the A cap now. If they would push this flank, our Torps would be excellent. Now, we have to worry a little bit about just them kiting off the map. Because honestly, why do I have HE or AP? Because honestly, that is the big issue here. If they kite off the map, then we are stuck with very poor shell velocity. Did I over-angle here for this Sabir? Let's see. Nope, we're okay. Got his engine. Turret knocked out. That's not a big deal. But a lot of light cruisers, you just simply cannot do this, where you're pushing a flank this aggressively, and then you sit in your smoke screen. We'll have to worry about maybe some Elbing torpedoes yet. And our shell velocity, well, similar to Colbert, that's not necessarily a good thing. If you compare it to something like a Smolensk, it's way harder to lead these shells. Elbing's a reasonably large target, though, so we get the double fire there, showing off that ridiculous fire chance. 13.5%, at least with this build. That is nuts for our the number of shells that we fire. I don't know why they gave it such a high DPM and fires per minute, considering all the other tools, but maybe this is why. Matches like this, where everyone just sort of runs away. I think this is a great example of why I'm always looking to be on the flank where the enemy is pushing, right? I kind of mentioned that in passing, but that's where you get your best games when you're playing a light cruiser. When you're having to deal with people that are kiting like this, I mean, yeah, 13-second lead time for a Republic here is not easy at all. We can dip back into our smoke here and hopefully go dark. Wait for our gun bloom to reset. And now we can push back in a little bit more. Maybe this Sabir is going to full charge us. This is definitely a situation where I would assume the enemy team wins this flank. That would be my assumption. We're spotted, so maybe Elbing is here. Is he going to open up on us? Our smoke is back in 25, so not too big a downtime, honestly, for this smoke screen. It's really not so bad. Between your smokes, you do got to be a little bit careful. There's that problem. I went perfectly bow in, and then we ate a Citadel just like that. Quite unfortunate. We stop, though, and there we go. We get our smoke off. Now, is there a DD here, do you think, that's going to be... Yeah. Very concerning. That's the Shima, I guess. Wow, he went all the way from where the B cap was. His last spot was way out there. Very interesting. Now, can we get the fire? Looks like our Willem is going to go down. We're in a bad spot now. So, the problem here is that the Shima can probably spot us if we start shooting a bunch. So, either we sit in our smoke and maybe hope to surprise the Shima. We could reverse out of this smoke briefly and see if he's here. No. So he's further up here. We are going to try and turn away, actually. Shima has a long torp reload time. Elbing just sent his out. His reload relatively quickly. We're going to try and turn away. We got plenty of smokes left. Got some heals coming, so I'm not too worried. As long as we can get away from the Shima spotting us on this flank so quickly. Sabir is kited again. And we're spotted. So Shima's up here somewhere, probably. Especially if we are able to go dark. Yeah. So he's up here somewhere. Let's try and wiggle. Rudder shift. Yeah, there we go. All right. We survive it. See, it is hard to play light cruisers, guys. It is not easy. And as predicted, the enemy team steamrolled here. So we're getting into a situation where this could turn into a blowout, or it turns into a situation where we get some really fun light cruiser brawling at the end of this battle. Not sure. Oh boy, maybe it's just a blowout. But you never know. We still haven't used our torps, but oh, guys, please. Please, not like this. All right, now it's time to use these torpedoes for sure. And there's some idea of turning and getting all of your torps sent, and then from there using your booster to get all 40, but no, we're just gonna go like this for now. This repub needs to die, so I'm actually going to smoke up for now. Try and help our Columbo live a little bit longer. A little greedy to shoot there before fully concealed by our smoke, but I think we can manage that. And now that he's pushing into us, it's a lot easier to lead these shells, of course. Instant fire, as is predictable with a ship like this one. Guaranteed a lot of those fires. Oh, Columbo, don't push me out of my smoke. Let's go this way. Need to be considering our lead times. Oh, we're gonna get blind fired. Are we dead? No, we're not. That was good blind fire. I will use that heal because this game is looking real bad. Okay. However, what's up, Sabir? Oh, please tell me those have the range. Please. Please. Yes. Hello, Sabir. 13.5, guys. It's a big, big deal to have that little bit of extra range. Yes, we get him. Okay. There's no chance we come back from this. Our carrier is dead. We have essentially no teammates left, but we're doing okay with what we have been given, and I am happy enough with that. Jinan can play in the vast majority of games, even ones where you don't have the perfect spotting, you don't have the perfect enemy team just pushes into you slowly so you can farm them down with all of the fires. Oh no, I'm slowing down into that one. That was bad. We don't have much torp protection. Okay, maybe I shouldn't be so hard on our guys for eating all those torpedoes, because that's what I just did. And now we're going to go down. You know, maybe that's a good thing. Don't drag this one out. We can go a little bit of go next action, perhaps. Right? Don't we go down? Or are they going to let me get to my heal? Surely we go down here. Not having a hydro is a pretty massive disadvantage. One last smoke and one last heal. He let me get to it. Big mistake, Mr. Shima. Oh, the Elbin got an angle. Okay. There you go. That is going to do it for the games today. Not every game that I play is going to be that monstrous, but still, Jinan is absolutely excellent and well worth going for if you're thinking about light cruisers at all. You see some of the crazy Colbert games and that, and you think, oh, I would like to try that, but it's steel, and that's so much to invest into it. Colbert also has this nice armor profile that allows you to bounce some battleship salvos. Am I game lagging when I do that? Oh no, it's just that result coming through. But Jinan having this armor scheme is so nice for some of those battleships. You saw, though, as soon as I perfectly angled, this armor doesn't matter. Like when you perfectly go bow in, that's when you eat those citadels. If I had gone like this, there's still some plunging fire that can get through us, but you still can bounce a lot of battleship salvos with this ship. And that's really nice. Really handy that you don't get overmatched everywhere constantly all the time. Here's the build that I was running for this ship. Not sure if that's optimal at all, but it is what I was going with. And then a full gun build, because most of my damage still does come from the guns. The torpedoes are good enough all on their own, especially with the reload booster giving you a ridiculous amount of torp power, bursty torp power when you need it or when you want it. It's still very good in that way. And that's going to about do it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.